Hello, friends. Welcome, Salem Mason Happy Home, and I'm happy to be here with you today. It's Friday, October 3rd, 2024. And earlier this morning, I was reading a couple of lengthy articles and reports put out by journalists who attended Pete Hegseth's George Patton revival. I have to say it was pretty crazy, pretty dramatic, but he was drilling home a message. And anyone who might be offended by Hegseth's meeting, keep in mind that he and Trump have vowed 1,000% full unedited transparency. So rather than have closed door meetings where people can form their own opinions and judgments about what might or might not be going on or why, he did it in front of all the world to see, because we're in the middle of a lot of conflicts right now, foreign and domestic. We have a lot of things going on right now that involve the military, and if he had called them in from all over the world, which he did, these are men that are serving in authoritarian roles with the military, all branches from all nations around the world representing the U.S. If he had brought them here and had a closed door meeting, people would have started to panic and believe that maybe there's some kind of war coming, something terrible's happening, they're keeping secrets. So that's why they wanted the full transparency. And it did appear a little bit like the 1970 film, George C. Scott as Patton. He did a better Patton than Patton. But in Trump admin style, of course, he was unfiltered and his genuine self. The article went into quite a few things, and what I wanted to touch on today was one of the things that Trump had mentioned during this time when they were speaking to these generals and laying down the law. One of the things that they talked about was Trump had mentioned to Hegseth that if he needed any training opportunities for any branch of the military, that he would probably welcome them to join him and the National Guard and ICE in Chicago when they go into Chicago to clean it up like they did in D.C. And that concerned me, not because Trump is saying, oh, we're going to bring in the military. No. What concerned me about that was self-fulfilling prophecy. We've all heard self-fulfilling prophecy. And the left and the radical Dems and these nut jobs, Antifa and all these people, they're terrorizing the nation, and they're screaming and hollering that Trump is a fascist Nazi dictator and he's going to take over the U.S. and there's going to be armed military and militia and martial law and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you keep fighting the law, then they're going to have to act. And if you continue to fight on a level high enough that military is required, that's your doing, that's your fault. But I think it's a deliberate attempt to force Trump's hand so that everybody can point their fingers and say, see, we told you he was a fascist dictator. But what I want to say to all of you liberals, whether you're sort of Democrat or a little liberal, or, you're in the middle of the seesaw and not on either end because you don't want to take accountability for voting these fuckers in. Keep in mind that the Trump loyalists, the MAGA movement, the Maha movement, the Pete Hegseth movement, all of the people that are registered Republicans or people that support Trump and what the Trump administration is doing to clean up our cities. Remember, we're smarter than you assume we are. You're not superior to us. Most of us have 3-digit IQs, and we're pretty adept. And we know what you're doing. We know that you are causing these problems deliberately to create unrest and incite a civil war. And I can guarantee you that our troops are going to be very much more well prepared than yours. Ours will be highly trained, healthy, alert, intellectual, on the ball individuals, whether you're a soldier or a civilian, to act and react and prepare for this, as opposed to you guys who are too busy stroking your egos, having temper tantrums, and filing your drag queen nails. Let me tell you something, you're not prepared. And Antifa has been now put on the terrorist watch list because they fall under the definition of a terrorist organization. Not because Trump is mean and bad, not because Trump hates you. It's because you're dumb, stupid fuckers who are acting like terrorists by attacking law enforcement, breaking the law, harassing citizens, terrorizing neighborhoods, firebombing buildings. That is why Antifa is on the terrorist watch list. Now, you will more than likely, run around screaming, see, we told you Trump was a fascist, Nazi dictator. See, he's bringing in the military. He told Hegseth to bring the military into Chicago. What he told Pete Hegseth is that if he needed to, and he more than likely said it in a lighthearted manner because Trump is a stand-up comic. You got to remember, Trump is a native New Yorker, and I used to live on the East Coast, so I had to tolerate New Yorkers. They are rude, bombastic, gregarious, loud people. They are aggressive, abrasive, and passionate, loyal Americans. Trump is a native New Yorker, born and raised. He came from that abrasive, bombastic lifestyle. He was also a developer, coming up in the 70s and the 80s as a developer during the height of mob rule in New York City. So you had to know how to battle that. You had to know how to get around those mobsters and all that crap. You had to, fight them for contracts and turf and whatnot. I mean, he's a hardened businessman. He's a showman. Remember, he used to have a reality show where he was firing everybody. He's got a really sick, twisted sense of humor. So he is a lot to take in, and he can be a cultural shock for anybody on either side of the political aisle that has grown up with stiff, robotic, secretive, elitist politicians. Not with him. So you got to take his sideways comments as just blowing off steam or whatever until it actually happens. And when it happens, he's going to warn you first, and then he's going to put out an executive order, and then you're screwed. By that time, you're screwed. But I did see some horrible things in Portland. The ICE officers are being beaten and physically attacked. There were some MAGA supporters who were actually just sitting on the ground, quiet, minding their own business, completely unarmed, except for one lady with pepper spray, because an Antifa guy grabbed a woman, because you guys are wife beaters and women haters and stuff. You grabbed a woman. He grabbed a young woman and started throttling her and thrashing her around and beating on her. That's an Antifa man. So real Antifa men beat on women. Wow. Go ahead. Support that. Antifa's Democrat, by the way. They're registered Democrats if they're registered at all. So, yeah. Anyway, he he grabbed her and she was able to get to her pepper spray and she sprayed that mofo. And I'm glad that she did. She defended herself. She had to defend herself, but then she went back to sitting down. Then the Antifa people went on their way. But ICE called Portland PD. 911 had been called for Portland PD to come in and assist and give them some kind of support. But somebody, probably up in the mayor's office, did some technical espionage and blocked 911 calls from that area to come into 911 dispatch so the officers wouldn't be able to come out there. Now, if you were a little old lady living 6 blocks from that ICE facility and you fell and broke your hip and you couldn't get up and your 911 call was blocked, and your grandson comes to bring you groceries today and finds you dead on the floor, I hope he sues you. I hope that the government, the Portland city government, gets jailed. I hope you get everything that's coming to you. ICE is a federal organization, a federal agency with one task in mind. Let them do their job. If you are here legally, if you are a Native American, if you are, born and raised Native American, you're American, and you've broken no laws and you have no reason to fear them, then stay out of their way. Why have we raised 3 generations of people who have no regard for law enforcement, who think that they're so much more important, that they are so much better, that their rights protect them when they attack or defy law enforcement? That's not in the Constitution. You're not protected from that. That's why you get arrested and you go to jail, you dumb fuck. So Pete Hegseth might be a little hard to take for some of these old status quo generals and whatever they are, admirals, generals, kings, I don't know what they are. Emperors, whatever they are, imperial wizards. Anyway, he's got a point though. Okay, so when 71-year-old RFK Jr. and 45-year-old Pete Hegseth had that pull-up, competition, RFK Jr. wiped the floor with Hegseth, but it wasn't about insulting or intimidating anybody or telling somebody that he was better. It wasn't any of that kind of stuff. It was RFK Jr. setting an example and saying, I support you. And if you put in the work, you too can do pull-ups at 71 years old. You have to put in the effort. Just put in the effort. So what he's doing is he's showing support. He's setting an example of what is possible when you put your mind to it. And Hegseth was there to set an example and raise the bar for the military. And when he said that these obese generals sitting behind desks, they can't go out there and expect the men and women serving under them to take them seriously or respect them when they can barely walk. What kind of an example is that to set for the troops? If you are less than ready to go to combat, you become a burden and a danger to those fellow soldiers who are. War is not nice. It's not pretty. It's not intended to be. War is kill or be killed. And we have to be ready. Now, nobody is saying that we're preparing for war, but we're preparing for the event that might come down the road. We don't know what's going to hit today. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Our military needs to be ready to protect us. But now we're so busy having to spread our military and law enforcement and be distracted by these childish Antifa bastards that now Trump is having to make sideways comments about needing to bring in the full-on military for training exercises in Chicago. Here's the thing. these mayors and these governors, yeah, they have authority over their states, but federal trumps state. And if you are putting your citizens at danger with your choices and your inactions, then it is the task of the federal government to step in and protect the American citizens from you. Walz, Newsom, Pritzker. You are endangering the citizens that you are required, that you took an oath under law to protect and preserve and give a good whole life to. And you are not doing your job. It's called dereliction of duty. And Trump doesn't need your favor. He doesn't need your permission or approval to come in on a federal level and take care of business. And if you don't get off of your asses, uncross your legs, stop doing jazz hand stuff, Walz, and get your shit together, he has to come in and do it because the American people demand it. So you have a choice. You can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. If you don't like what's going on, step back and decide, who are you going to side with? Are you going to side with disrespectful terrorists who disregard the rule of law, who violate the Constitution by illegally protesting, by firebombing, by harassing law-abiding, tax-paying citizens? Who are you to do that? You're not allowed to. And we will take matters into our own hands. We, meaning those of us that are supporting our president and his administration in getting law and order back into our communities. I love Minnesota. I'm a born and raised Minnesotan. I love this state. I love my country. But Tim Walz has destroyed this state. Keith Ellison has destroyed the rule of law here in our state. Our cities are unmanageable. Our cities are so dangerous that you can't go in them anymore. We can't continue like this. And I'm not saying that we're going to have Disneyland and Xanadu and, pink fluffy clouds and unicorns trotting down the street. We're not going to have 1950s movies and malt shops and poodle skirts again. But I would like to know that I could travel into Minneapolis and St. Paul and not have to fear for my life. I would like to know that illegals and individuals on terrorist watch lists and pedophile watch lists are not in charge of our cities. I want to know that our governor has the back of every one of us and not just his donors and the people that his overbearing daughter want him to protect. We're not monsters, but we're not wrong either. You all need to get your shit together. Because now, if mentioning the military going into Chicago actually becomes a serious deal, we are on the cusp of a civil war. And I don't know about you, but I'm picking the side that has the capable military, that has respect for the rule of law, and that will protect me because I'm a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, and not be forced to protect me because I think I don't have rights that I do, and I think that I'm more special than anybody else. And I guarantee you, you nonsensical, non-serious, Democrat, liberal, radical, nonsense people, you will not win because you don't have the support behind you. And a side note, Greta Thunberg, what a waste of life. Throw her overboard and let a shark eat her. She was told the first time that she breached international waters to get into Israel when she breached their waters and forced her way into their country unlawfully, because you have to go through the borders just like you do here and everything else. She failed to do all of that. She was taken into custody, and it was explained to her that if you attempt to do this again, we will arrest you without further notice. They put it in writing. They said it in a court of law in front of a world of people. And so what does this stupid do? She goes and does it again. And then claims that she was kidnapped. Now, here's an interesting thing, because when you compare ISIS kidnapping an American soldier, and they hold up the newspaper and they've got a hood over their head and they're being macheted to death, that's kidnapping, okay? She's standing there, no cuffs, no shackles, no prison uniform. She's sitting on the deck of her boat with her selfie phone out going, I have been kidnapped and my country needs to come and get me. I hope your country just forgets that you're alive. You're an eyesore to your country. You are a blemish on the face of this earth. You are stupid, uneducated, useless. You do nothing but waste people's time. And just to confirm how stupid and useless she and her people are, the dummies shot a flare and blew up their own boat. That's your poster child, not mine. Yeah, so, buckle up, Buttercup, because you are not prepared for what's coming down the pike. I, on the other hand, am starting preparations in the form of taking accountability for my physical health. I'm weaning myself off unnecessary medications. I am working out every day. I am getting outside every day. I am trying and striving to eat as healthy as I can. I am reversing the causes of aging. I am doing everything I can to be a super ager and to be physically prepared. Because a lot of you, if some wacko Antifa came and threw you to the ground, you'd probably have a heart attack or suffocate because you couldn't get up. We have to be ready. Because unfortunately, until you get it through your head that breaking the law is not going to get you anywhere, it is only going to get you to jail. Violating the law, terrorizing law enforcement, firebombing facilities, rooting for the wrong side is not going to get you any further in your agenda. So what can you do? Well, you can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. And until next time, do good and be good.